Well, it's been nearly 2 months since the smoke cleared and the dust settled on the latest humiliation by USA Basketball in the 2023 FIBA basketball tournament, where the United States didn't even win a medal this time. The most recent struggles highlight a pathetic and embarrassing trend as of late for the United States men's national team. But not to fear, LeBron is here and ready to do what he does best. No, not win gold medals or redeem the United States. LeBron, in fact, already famously helmed 2 bronze medal teams of his own. But before the self-proclaimed king came around, America barely lost a single game in any international tournaments ever, amassing a record of 117-2 from the 1936 Olympic Games in Germany, when basketball was first added as an official medal event, and running all the way to 2004 when this guy showed up. The 2004 national team also included players like Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, 28-year-old prime Tim Duncan, and 29-year-old Allen Iverson. And after losing just 2 games total in nearly 70 years coming into those 2004 games in Athens, the Americans lost 3 of the 8 games they played in that tournament during a 10-day span and humiliated themselves and the entire country when they collected their bronze medal.
Why?
I mean, this team lost to Puerto Rico by 20 in the Olympics. Following this epic embarrassment, the USA Basketball Executive Committee named Jerry Colangelo managing director of the national team, Mike Krzyzewski the head coach, and LeBron James team captain, heading into the 2006 FIBA World Championships in Japan, where LeBron would again lead Team USA to a bronze medal. Luckily for America, the actual best player of the century of the 2000s had seen enough at that point, and Kobe Bryant joined the national team. He led the Americans into the 2008 Summer Games in Beijing, where he single-handedly rescued the United States in the gold medal game against Spain, scoring or assisting on 18 of Team USA's final 24 points of the fourth quarter. That was a 2-point game with under 8 minutes left to play. The balance of powers were restored as the US not only won gold, but didn't lose a single game in the process. Recently, though, more cracks in the red, white, and blue armor seem to be showing, as in 2021, the US did manage to win gold in the COVID-delayed Olympic Games in Japan, but only after losing a game to Nigeria earlier in the pool play round. And now this most recent humiliating no-show in the FIBA games where the US team didn't even place. But again, this is where LeBron comes in. Sure, he won those 2 bronze medals, the one in 2004 highlighting the darkest and most humiliating moment in the history of basketball in the United States of America. And yes, he has shown a penchant for high-level choke jobs with nearly unbeatable teams against vastly inferior opponents. But damn it, this guy can recruit. In fact, if there is one thing he actually is the GOAT of, it is recruiting and team building. And with news breaking of the squad LeBron is amassing for the 2024 Summer Games in Paris, the team has now been dubbed the Levengers. Get it? Like the Avengers, a pairing of the greatest players the United States has to offer. And taking a closer look at this squad, these guys all know how to team up, with the other top-billed US superheroes joining the Levengers being Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Durant, who famously slithered his way out of Oklahoma City to join a 73-win Warriors team only after Steph Curry flew across country on a private jet to beg KD to join him. We also have Anthony Davis ready to commit, who demanded a trade to LeBron with a full year left on his contract with New Orleans. Kawhi Leonard also wants in, who also wanted to go home to LA after winning a title in Toronto. But he didn't want to go home alone. so he colluded with Paul George to help him force his way there too. Though I must admit, it is a little ambitious for Leonard or Anthony Davis for that matter to think they will actually be healthy enough to play in the summer. Maybe both should stick to the goal of playing 2/3 of an actual NBA season first. The other thing that absolutely pops off of the screen when looking at this Levengers lineup is how many high-profile gag jobs these guys have all combined to account for. We got young, ascending all-choke first-teamer Jason Tatum, who blew a 2-1 lead in the NBA Finals and lost 3 straight in that series while dropping 21 points per game on 36% shooting from the field. He followed that stellar showing up a year later by losing Game 7 at home in the Eastern Conference Finals to a 7.5-point underdog 8th seed Miami Heat. In the deciding Game 7 in Boston, Tatum poured in 14 points on 5 of 13 shooting. And then there's Joel Embiid, coming off of his gift-wrapped, undeserving Pity MVP award, who hasn't even been out of the second round of the playoffs yet in his entire career, with one disappointing Game 7 loss after the next seemingly every postseason. And of course, who can forget about Kevin Durant blowing a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals against the 73-win Warriors, only to have presumptive 2024 Levengers teammate Steph Curry up the choking ante by blowing a 3-1 lead 2 weeks later in those 2016 NBA Finals. And he did it by losing 3 straight games and 2 home games with a 73-win regular season unit and a unanimous league MVP to his name for that year. And at home, in that Game 7, which was tied with 1 minute to play, Curry scored 3 points on 1 of 6 shooting for the entire fourth quarter. And you know it has to be a monumental choke job to outchoke this guy. And speaking of him, the king of choke, LeBron James, who perpetrated the greatest choke job in basketball history, blowing a 2-1 lead in the NBA Finals as a back-to-back league MVP against the drastically undermanned Dallas Mavericks while scoring exactly 0 points in clutch time for the entire series.
0.0.
The Levengers is looking more and more like the LePants Crappers.
I got poopy.
It's a good thing, as the saying goes, there's strength in numbers, because you would be hard-pressed to find one actual winner on this entire roster. The 2024 Summer Games in Paris is going to look more like the Levengers Endgame. LeChokers, assemble!